The Grappling Hour is brought to you by Luda Gear, athletic support items created by grapplers for grapplers.
Yeah. Check it out.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your good friend, Rafa Sparza. Now, I know some of you are wondering the following. Why are we here on a Sunday? Don't we normally do this song and dance on a Tuesday? Yes, that is true, but we do have a special episode for you guys today that I actually felt like, I'm going to take a break from doing nothing on Sunday to actually bring you two important folks who have been doing great things out in the jiu-jitsu community since we've last seen each other. I think first and foremost, I want to send a big shout out to our good friend Mir Katsu. They just sent me this, and it's a book called Jason Passed My Guard. Now, I have not read this yet, but I received it in my mail. Now, I don't know if he's sending this to me because he realizes I have the emotional stability of a 5-year-old when someone passes my guard. It's entirely possible, but it's a kid's book that will help people understand, I think, what it is to feel like whenever they are getting pressured in jiu-jitsu. So I'm very much looking forward to reading that. My thanks to my good friend Mirkatsu. I will give that a read over the weekend. But let's get to matters. We've got Lachlan Giles a little bit later in about 40 minutes. But in the meantime, I want you guys to get to know the winner of yesterday's Combat Jiu-Jitsu trials, which, by the way, they don't slap at this trials, so it's not like he had to get slapped yesterday. So if you see him and you see his face and you wonder, like, well, why does he look so fine? Like, why are there no marks here? That would be why. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to get to know a gentleman who has punched his way to his appearance at the upcoming Combat Jiu Jitsu Worlds. That is November 23rd. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michael Esquivel. Michael, how are you doing, sir?
Doing great. How are you?
Not bad. I think I rushed the name. How am I supposed to say it?
It's Michael Esquivel.
Esquivel, okay. So what I did was, and you can see this here, I have a phonetic. And the phonetic here, Q. So I went Q as opposed to Keyvel.
Yeah.
My apologies. Mike, let's ask this, my friend. Why the Combat Jiu-Jitsu? You can do so many different things in Jiu-Jitsu. You can do super fights, and it looks like you've got a couple coming up pretty soon. But what made you want to go and go qualify your way for this particular tournament, sir?
Well, Combat Jiu-Jitsu is always something I've wanted to do. I've done MMA before. I have 2 amateur fights. So I have a little bit of experience with getting hit while using my Jiu-Jitsu, and I wanted to try it in this new format, this EBI style format. So it was a lot of fun, and yeah.
When did you get a note asking that, your participation was in it, or did you hound down Eddie or any of his goons and you're like, hey, listen, I want in on this. I don't care who, what, when, or when, how, why. Like, how did you become involved in the trials process?
So my MMA coach, Sonny Luque, he actually got invited first. They asked him to come on to the qualifier, but he asked me. He's like, "Hey man, would you like to do it?" Because I'm the jiu-jitsu coach at his school at Laredo Kickboxing. So he's like, "I got another guy. I got our jiu-jitsu coach." So he asked me if I wanted to go ahead and jump in, and I said, "Hell yeah." It was actually a 185 division. I weigh about 175, but the opportunity doesn't come around very often. So I just took it and I said, hell yeah, let's do it.
So let me get this straight. You're going up some weight on this, and you're like, yeah, that's okay. I'll go ahead and play a little lower with all of these bigger guys.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, let's ask this. What did your matches look like yesterday? I know it was an 8-person qualifier. And again, I mentioned up there, and I want to make sure I'm right on this. There are no slaps for the qualifiers, correct?
No, on this qualifier, it was a full combat jiu-jitsu rule, so we were actually slapping and all that.
Okay,
Yeah.
because that was the other thing is I didn't get the opportunity to watch, which is why I want you to walk me through it. Now, before at other qualifiers, I thought that they didn't have to do that, but now I'm getting that confused with the internal qualifiers for those who are qualifying in Eddie system. So for the 10th Planet qualifiers, they don't slap. But you guys, so then how the hell do you look so clear without any marks?
I didn't get hit too much. I think I got hit maybe like 5 times total, and I think I was on the guy's back. I had him like in a seatbelt, and he was like reaching back and trying to hit me. So I really didn't get hit too much. I was in good position most of the time, and so yeah, I was pretty lucky this time around.
All right, well let's get to asking about what it felt like on day of. When you're going, where exactly did you go? I know that they were in Mexico. In what parts were you going to go for this trials period?
So it was in Monterrey, Mexico. It was within the city, so we actually had to take a taxi and get there. This was my second time ever being there. So it was just this little gym in the neighborhood. It was called Olimpo. So the taxi just dropped us off, and it was just there. It was a nice little gym.
Okay, what time are you arriving there for the tournament day? Because you're based out of Texas, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not a terrible amount of travel. Like, how long of a travel are we looking at here?
It's about 3 hours on the bus.
Okay.
So we had it. Yeah, we first had to cross. We had to cross to Mexico on the bridge. We got a taxi to the bus station, and then from the bus station to Monterrey, and then from there we got a taxi straight to the gym. And this was the day of. We traveled the day of.
What time was it starting at then?
It was supposed to start at 2. I think it started around like 3:30 or something.
That sounds about right for EBI and combat. So you're not that far off. In fact, some might say you started early. So that's the case. So that means that you're doing all of your travel, which means there's not really any prep getting there. And you probably don't have to worry about even weighing in, because at this point they're just like, whatever, kid, listen, you're not coming in at $185. They're just probably doing the sight test on you. Like, yeah, when you don't have to check somebody's ID anymore at the club, you just go, yeah, you're about that weight. Okay. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I think I was the smallest competitor of the tournament. So,
I mean, it takes a certain kind of mentality to want to do this to begin with. So it's not surprising if you're already getting slapped if you say, all right, I'll give up 10, 15 pounds, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this. Talk me through your first match, because it's 3 to win. What does your first match look like, and how does it go?
So my first match, we started standing. It was we wrestled for about a minute until they made us sit down, made us get down. I think I chose top position, so he got me in a butterfly hooks, and we were there for a while. And I think I don't remember exactly how, but I eventually got him in a guillotine choke. And when I got him in the guillotine, I pulled guard, and as I did that, I swept him back into mount, and I finished the guillotine there in mount. But it took about 6 minutes to finish that. I can't remember the match exactly, but that's pretty much how it went.
That's a good start to the day. What were your other competitors like? Are you watching them in between, or are you somebody who just kind of goes away? Because a lot of the times I do find most athletes get most of their intel watching it live and seeing their competitors live rather than watching tape. Where do you fall on that line?
Well, when I saw the competitor list, and I like to look to see what I'm going up against. Just have an idea of their styles and stuff like that. So I kind of had an idea of what I was going to be going up against. But I was actually the very first match, so I didn't get to watch anyone what they were going to do live. So yeah, yeah, besides that, I got to see a couple of their matches on YouTube and stuff like that, but that's about it.
Okay. Okay. That's not. I mean, some people obsess over tape study. Some people are a little bit more relaxed on that. But if you go first, that means that you get the next opportunity to at least get a few matches to watch. So do you take that opportunity, or do you just kind of like chill?
Oh yeah, I always make sure to watch, see what they're gonna do or what kind of games they have and what I'm gonna be going up against. So yeah, I gotta see their style and stuff like that before I actually went up against them.
Is it different because you strike me as somebody who does compete fairly often? Is there a different vibe that you feel at this sort of competition than you would say at, a local competition coming in? And if so, can you describe what that feels like?
Yeah, this competition it had more of like a MMA like a MMA type of vibe. These guys were kind of like slapping their faces and getting themselves real pumped up and stuff like that. Whereas in jiu-jitsu competition, they're just in the corners stretching or listening to their music, real calm. And that's actually kind of how I got ready. But yeah, it kind of had an MMA type vibe at this particular competition.
Is that similar to how you get or how you do fight MMA? Or do you keep that consistently? Because again, there are so many jiu-jitsu guys who are just used to their jiu-jitsu world, and when they don't really go out of those bounds to try MMA, I don't know that they keep the same regimen. Is it similar for you, and does that help in the fact that you have had MMA experience where you just kind of go like, oh, it's another day?
Um, as far as preparing, or
I'm talking
what do you
about
mean?
when you're there, because people talk about nerves, they talk about what it is that they don't know, which is the unexpected. So when you get there live, it's a different beast, because everybody, especially with combat jiu-jitsu, you kind of feel like, this is no problem. You start getting slapped a few times, and then you're like, you get that almost revenge look, like, how dare you do that to me? In MMA, I feel like, oh yeah, you're getting punched, okay, whatever. I just wonder if it translates just in the same way when you're there live, how you stay in the zone and how you find it. Because especially with MMA, it's just one set
Hmm.
where you're going all the way through. With combat, you get those mini breaks where you're witnessing more and you're learning more as you go. But do you stay consistent, calm through that, or does something else happen?
Yeah, I think when I fought MMA those two times, I kind of went in with the same focus I have when I'm doing jiu-jitsu tournaments. Of course, I was worried about getting hit or even getting knocked out, but I still had that same laser focus that I have when I go into jiu-jitsu tournaments. And yeah, I think it really helps a lot in being success and to be successful in MMA. You got to be really focused.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about your second match there. What does your second match go like at the qualifiers yesterday?
My second match, so this guy, he took me down. He got a really good double leg, and I got him in butterfly, I think. And from butterfly, I tried to butterfly sweep him, but we actually hit the wall that was right there. It was like where people were kind of sitting by and stuff. So we hit the wall, so I couldn't finish the butterfly sweep. So I switched to a single X, and then from there I went to a 411, and I went straight for the heel hook immediately, and that's where it finished. It was a pretty
Nice.
quick match, that one.
That's feeling pretty good. Now at this point, you already know you're going to the finals. Do you feel pretty rested? And what does the rest of the competition look like? Are they having longer wars, or is it going relatively quick?
Um, I actually saw a couple overtime matches, so they were some of them were going pretty long, and I was actually feeling kind of fatigued. My arms were feeling that kind of like when you go to a jiu-jitsu tournament and you can't even squeeze your hands. Like I felt like that, and I couldn't, like, I needed some time. But there was enough rest in between because these other guys were taking kind of long in their matches and they were going to overtime and stuff. So I had a good amount of rest and I was ready for the next matches,
Awesome.
or the next match actually.
All right. So now we're getting to the end. My apologies on that. We get to the end of the day. Who is your opponent in the finals?
So my final opponent was actually the guy I faced at the very first round. So what happened was, I guess when he lost, he was placed in a loser's bracket, and he won his way back into the finals. So I fought him again, and yeah, he was really tough. He was actually the biggest competitor in the whole tournament.
Mm.
He was giving me a hard time, kind of taking him down and stuff because he was so heavy. But I was able to get his back on that time within like 6 minutes or so, and I somehow was able to get the choke in. It was really hard though, because actually during the match I got swept, and this guy's huge, so he was throwing these like crazy palm strikes at me, but I was on bottom, so I was able to block with my legs and stuff.
Mm.
But I was able to get on his back, and once I was there, I was striking him from there, and I even like made him bleed a little bit from his nose. So those strikes really open up a lot of stuff. They open up a lot of submissions. So I used those strikes, and I sunk in that choke and went right in. And I finished it.
What can you describe as being the most different from this experience? I mean, obviously you got the strikes in there. Do you like it better than MMA? Do you like it the same, or do you have a preference, or even as compared to jiu-jitsu? Because there's only a handful of people who really have gotten this experience. I mean, obviously if you do MMA, there's more people who do jiu-jitsu to MMA, but there's not a ton of people who do combat jiu-jitsu in competition.
Mm-hmm. I think I really liked combat jiu-jitsu. I love jiu-jitsu. That's my true passion. I've done MMA before, like I said, and I did like it, but I love jiu-jitsu so much more, and it was awesome to be able to test my jiu-jitsu against like being striked and all these other, these rule sets and stuff. I really enjoyed it a lot more. Combat jiu-jitsu is something I hope to continue doing for a long time. So,
well, obviously you have the 23rd, and that's going to be a thing. But I wanted to get a little bit more into the deep cut. So why don't we go ahead and start back to the very beginning. Where does your jiu-jitsu journey begin? Because nobody just starts off as a mini savage that just goes around slapping people. So where does your jiu-jitsu journey start?
So I started training when I was 16 years old. I started training at Paragon Jiu-Jitsu here in Laredo, Texas. I was in high school. I was a junior in high school at the time, and as soon as I started training, I fell in love with it, and I actually haven't stopped at all. Like I haven't taken more than a week break since I started. So it's been like a real passion for me ever since.
I was about to say, how old are you right now?
I'm 26. I'm gonna be 27 in December. Yeah.
Okay, because you still look relatively young. So when you say, hey, I did it when I started when I was about a junior in high school, I want to be like, I don't know, man. You can still kind of pass for super young. So it's a little tricky to figure out where the carbon date is on you. If that is the case, and you've been with it there, you haven't taken more than a week off, what is the longest period you've ever taken away from jiu-jitsu? And why? Because it sounds like it wouldn't be by choice.
Maybe like 3-4 days for vacation or something, or maybe if I was sick or something, like maybe like 5 days most. But I'll make sure to get back like immediately.
Do people have to talk you out of it? Because I find that when I go on vacation, that's when I usually pack a gi or I pack gear to go train. And at first, my wife wasn't a huge fan of it. And now she knows that when she asks if I've packed, she's really asking if I've put all my gi stuff in a bag for myself. Like she knows that like I'll literally just throw all of my shirts and be like, there, I'm packed. But she knows that for my actual gi bag, my gear bag, I'll sit there and I'll like fold out each one very nicely. And I'm like, I actually have 2 gis and 3 different sets of no-gi just in case. I don't know where I'm going to find up. I don't know where I'm going to go. So do you have people that have to like talk you out of it and they're like, hey, listen, you got to take a couple days off?
Yeah. So anytime I go out of town, any place, I always bring my gi. I always try to hit some jiu-jitsu gym there. Sometimes my girlfriend's like, no, like it's supposed to be like for me and you, like, like why are you bringing your gi? But I feel like I have to train sometimes. I need to train every time. But I'm learning. I'm learning to be more to what's it called? What's the word? Like just um
You're learning
just
to
to
compromise a little bit, you
yeah,
know, and I
compromise.
get
Yeah,
it.
that's the
Yeah.
word. Yeah.
Here's a little tip from somebody who's married and hasn't been killed yet. I always try to pick the early sessions. So whenever they're like, this is supposed to be for us, and I'm like, it is for us from lunch on. But in the morning, I'm gonna go find a place to train because you don't want to wake up in the morning. But I'll wake up and I'll go train. So whenever time I go to Vegas, there are 6 a.m. 10th Planet classes, and I will mark out the time and I will show up. I'm not saying I'll be there on time, but I'll get up because I think the thing that people don't realize for me is when I go on vacation, that's time that I'm not fighting obesity. So that means that while we're going to eat like kings, I'm going to look like the fattest king anybody's ever seen if I don't get some training in. So I'm like, it's for everyone's benefit, not just for my mind, but for my ability to move. Otherwise, I'm just going to like slug my way through the mall. So I think that's a nice tip is to always try and find the earliest classes so that the nights are just between you and your girlfriend, and that way you keep a much more civilized thing. That's just a tip. Take for what you will.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Please do. I want to make sure we keep you alive because it'd be a shame that you'd read a headline that says "Survive Combat Jiu-Jitsu and MMA, killed by girlfriend for not taking time off." But it is important to find that balance because it does actually give you some clairvoyance. So she is right in that respect. Let's talk a little bit about this. When do you decide in your jiu-jitsu journey that you do want to go into MMA? Because it sounds like you seem like a person who kind of wants to challenge yourself, even though you love jiu-jitsu more than I would say most of the other branches of this. So at what point do you say like, yeah, I kind of want to do some MMA?
So as soon as I moved to Laredo Kickboxing, because I have my own gym. We're Alpha Omega Jiu Jitsu, and we moved to Laredo Kickboxing, so we're on under one roof now. As soon as I moved there, I started training with all the MMA guys, and some of them were getting ready for fights, and I would help them get ready for fights. And I was like, you know what, maybe I could do this too. And I also wanted to test my jiu-jitsu again. Like that's always been something I wanted to do, test my jiu-jitsu, see how it can translate into a real fight, if it really works, you know. And I just wanted that experience, so I was like, you know what, I'll do it. So my coach Sonny got me a fight. My first fight was actually in Mexico, so that was a experience. Yeah.
So you make quite the frequent amount of trips to go out there and fight people, I see.
Yeah. Well, that was my first fight, and yeah, I was in Mexico, and then the second time I competed in Mexico was this time for the Combat Jiu-Jitsu.
Gotcha. So those are the only 2 times so far.
Yeah.
Got it.
So far, yeah.
I guess this is an important question because I always like to know this, but do you know the exact moment you fell in love with jiu-jitsu? Because again, you're somebody who maybe didn't have MMA on your sights, but you weren't opposed to testing your jiu-jitsu. But when did you know that you wanted to make this your career?
I want to say sometime during when I was a blue belt. That's when I really started falling in love with the art. I started competing a lot. I'd hang around with a lot of people that were real dedicated to training and competing, and everyone wanted to be a world champion. So it was real motivational, and that really made me want to focus on jiu-jitsu and become the best I can be.
That makes sense, and especially when you're surrounded by champion tier talent, that you start to emulate that. You start to go like, well, when's the next competition, and when's the team getting together? And then more and more you become immersed in that. Then you say like, oh, sometimes now I'm sure you're the guy going to represent the team, you know? And they're, especially when you're getting super fights and whatnot. What has been the biggest, so what rank are you right now? Are you brown?
I'm a brown belt, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. So what do you find? Because you're just right underneath black belt, so you're chasing something that's nice, but you're competing at a level that's pretty professional. So what are you finding are the biggest challenges that you're going through in that brown belt, like almost black belt, but still going on that journey phase right now?
So right now, I'm just trying to get as many high level training partners as I can get here in Laredo. And we do got a lot of high level guys, but I need a lot more training partners, I feel, and that right now is probably one of the biggest challenges I have. My team Soul Fighters is out in Dallas, which is about 6.5 hours away, and that's my headquarters. So I don't get to train with them very often. So that's been the biggest challenge, just being so far from my team, you know.
How do you
Um,
how do you counter that? Do you just make more trips to kind of go train with them as a whole? Like, do you try to find local training partners? Do you then just try to get as many super fights as possible to kind of adjust and accommodate that? Like that seems like a difficult problem to have.
yeah, yeah. So I have some friends here. They're Calejo BJJ, and I've trained with them for many years, and so I always go to them. They got some black belts. I try to train with them as much as I can. And when I'm not there, I'll try to hit some out of town open mats. I'll go San Antonio, Austin, Houston, wherever I am. I'll try to train somewhere. But I normally don't get to do other schools' classes because I teach my own classes at Alpha Omega. So I only get to do open mats. So that's pretty much all I do. I train at my gym and then open mats as much as I can.
Makes sense. Do you try to bring in some ringer kids? And you'd be like, "Hey, Rotolos, come over here. You could sneak into my kids class." Because I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure when you do have that, you do have the commitment to your gym, and that is difficult. But I'm pretty sure these people also, to an extent, understand that you have to go on kind of your own hero's journey every once in a while to kind of go get that experience elsewhere, because it's so hard to replicate that. And I know even Jordan Hawley has told me, like, "Hey, dude, one of my biggest tasks for me personally living out in Texas is I want those people from all coasts. I want those experience points. I want to go out there and compete." So it kind of sounds like that's something that you're iterating as well.
Mhm.
Let me ask this, because here's what I've learned about you via your Instagram. And there's not much. I'm going to go here. I'm going to tell you got 38 posts. And if I go to your first post, this was posted July 4th, 2018. I need you to explain, because this is your first post on your professional page as a jiu-jitsu artist.
Mhm.
But your first post on here is a description of the difference between Goku and Superman. Do you feel this is the most representative of you and your beliefs in jiu-jitsu?
Let me see.
I will read it to you
Yeah.
because I feel...
Oh yeah, please.
Okay, here's the reason what it says. The reason why people respect Goku more than Superman is because Goku wasn't born stronger than all of his enemies. His life is all about training. He knows he can't win against his opponent and somehow finds a way to beat them. He is truly a better role model.
Yeah, I actually really do look up to Goku in that respect, and I do kind of identify with that. I feel like I wasn't the most gifted athlete. I really had to work hard and I have to train hard to win these competitions, and I feel like I'm an underdog a lot of times, and I always try to come on top, and I always do find a way to come on top.
But here's the weird part. You do understand that our sport is full of nerds. So this meme, if you would, is it's just kind of shitting on Superman in its own way. So do you think any of these comic book nerds are going to look at this and just be like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, I didn't say shit about Goku. You coming after my man Clark Kent like this? How dare you?"
Superman was born with everything. He's a god, you know. Um, Goku had to work his way up. He started from the very bottom, and now what is he now? He's like, I haven't kept up lately, but he's like what, Super Saiyan or like Ultra Instinct or something. So he come a long way, you know. And Superman was already like almost at his greatest from the very beginning, I think. But I'm
I'll
not.
tell you this
I could be wrong.
You know what Superman's greatest weakness is?
Kryptonite, right?
No, trying to be made into a good movie. Because Superman is only 2/3 of a good movie. Anytime they make a Superman movie, maybe the first one I understand that was in the 70s and that was technology and it was revolutionary. But like in all of his movies, no matter what happens in the last act of Superman movies, I just go, I don't care. Like when they had Man of Steel and there was 40 minutes of a fight, I thought, man, that's the kind of movie I'd want if I was like 10, to just see these people blowing up buildings. And I got so tired of it. I was like, I'm so bored. Like, can Zod or Superman just win? Because like, he either never has an opponent that's good enough for him, or in Snyder's version, he snaps their neck. And I go, this isn't Superman. Like, what the hell is wrong with this? So, he's only 2/3 of a good movie. So, I think, that's actually worse than his Kryptonite. But, okay, all right. Well, I want to say this because I'm looking through here, and I always like to figure out, kind of your mode and mentality when I do my research. But I love that, like, I've got Goku, I've got Tupac, I've got literally, like, these are the things that I'm sitting there thinking, like, just getting an insight into your brain is telling me, like, man, this kid is about the jiu-jitsu so much, he doesn't even post about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I actually had a lot more posts before, going back to 2013, but I wanted to start kind of new in 2018, start a new, I guess, chapter in my jiu-jitsu career. So I archived all my old posts, but I had a lot more jiu-jitsu.
So if that is the case, what can you say? Because, again, that means you got rid of some stuff, and that means you get to keep a good facade, but that means you're hiding who you used to be. So what is the most embarrassing post that you have on the archive on your Instagram? Because I can't see it.
Most embarrassing.
Like, what's something in there? Did you have... a lot of people, when they look at their social media from 10 years back, they're like, oh, God, who was that person? That's so stupid. What was one of those things that you ended up putting on archive that you're like, yeah, it'd be better if people didn't see that?
I think I had like stupid memes and pictures of me like skateboarding and like just doing stuff like that. I just wanted to have something more a little bit more professional. Like they were just random posts. They were not too good most of the times. Some of the jiu-jitsu ones, they were like my blue belt career and stuff like that. When I got my purple belt, maybe I should have left those posts, but yeah, not really, nothing embarrassing. Just random posts that I think, they also didn't have a lot of likes. They had like 10 likes or something. So I was like, nah, this is embarrassing. Let me just archive this.
All right, fair enough. Let me ask this, dude, because I get a sense that you aren't going to be resting on your way to Combat Jiu-Jitsu. So what comes up next for you?
So I got a Submission 150 in Dallas, and that's this coming weekend. And I'm actually doing it in 160 pounds in the gi. So, and yeah, I'm going to have to drive up there, do the weigh-in and all that. And I'm going to have to cut probably about 10 pounds this coming week. So yeah, that's what I got coming this week.
Okay, that's pretty good. And is it going to be confusing for you to switch back and forth between the gi? Because most people, when they would get such a no-gi spot, would just kind of go like, I don't do gi right now. I'm just a no-gi grappler right now. So is that confusing, or is that just the lifestyle that you're used to at this point?
Well, I mainly train gi. Just for this Combat Jiu Jitsu event, we started doing all no gi. So for this week, I think we're gonna do just gi this week, just so I can prepare for the super fight. And as soon as this is over, back to no gi again for the rest of the month until it's time.
Beautiful.
So.
Now, if you're getting here, because one of the things that we got to work on, kid, is getting your name out there, because we got to get more posts. I mean, obviously, you got some here that don't detail your blue belt days, but that's okay. That's better. Not everybody needs to know exactly what you were up to as a blue belt. I'm pretty sure if you wrote any sort of inspirational nonsense as a blue belt, most other people who are higher ranks just go, nah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thanks, blue belt. But of course, now you're established, you got your brown belt, you're going to be competing at Combat Jiu-Jitsu, you won the qualifiers for that. So let me ask this. If people are looking to tune in on November 23rd for your appearance at Combat Jiu-Jitsu, what can you tell them to expect?
Expect me to get some crazy submissions. I've been hitting all kinds of different stuff that I normally don't hit. So just look out for anything. There's a lot of people that know me for triangles and stuff, but I just want to say I'm a lot more well-rounded than I used to be. So look out for submissions from all angles and everywhere. I'm looking to finish all my fights by submission.
So if that is the case, and you were looking to finish all by submission, I guess the other question I had for you, and that's good, that's a good promo. I think that's the easiest thing. Most people love when they're watching those events to get somebody who's going to go for the kill. Do you have sponsors or teammates that help you get here that you would like to take a moment or an opportunity to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to first thank my team, Alpha Omega BJJ, Soul Fighters, Marcus Adelante out in Dallas, Sonny Luque and Laredo Kickboxing, all my family, my girlfriend, of course, and yeah, that's about it. I really don't have any sponsors right now. Actually, I pay for everything mostly myself, and but yeah, I'm looking to get some soon. We'll see.
Would you like some help on that? Just, I'm not going to sponsor you. I don't do that. But what I can do is we do a segment on this show, and it's called Why You Should Sponsor This Kid. So if you would like me to be a mouthpiece for why someone should sponsor you, I'd be happy to do that. Is that something you'd like me to do?
That would be great. I would love that.
All right. Go ahead and take a seat. Sit back. Let me do all the heavy lifting here. All right. I'm going to look directly into the camera. Feel free to take this and use it on your Instagram, kid. Here we go. Why should you sponsor the young man in this video? It's pretty simple. Michael, to those of us who know him very, very well, I'll tell you this. He not only pays for all of his tournaments, which has to be a lot. That's a lot of money. But he's going to be competing at Combat Jiu-Jitsu, which has one of the highest viewership totals in all of Jiu-Jitsu. So why wouldn't you want to have your brand associated on somebody who's going to be on that? But beyond just that, look at this kid. This kid isn't just taking days off to training. He's never missed more than 1 week in his entire experience training. That's not only consistency, that means that he's going to get his advertising rates seen, and you're going to get your money's worth. And if I can mention one little thing right here, he actually risks it all whenever he's going on vacation with his girlfriend to actually go out and train. Like, you want to talk about playing with fire? No, it's not fighting MMA. It's not going to Combat Jiu-Jitsu and getting slapped. It is the tempting of fate of saying, babe, can I go train? Any of you married individuals, you know what that means. Any of you people who are in a steady relationship, you know what that means. But if you're looking for a dedicated young man who not only goes on vacation, but uses those vacation to get those experience points that he can't get in his hometown, I don't know that you're going to find somebody better. So you would do well to go ahead and give young Michael your best sponsorship. Or miss out, because once he goes to black belt, his rates will probably go up, and then it's going to be really, really hard to actually afford it. So do it now. Buy low, sell high.
And thank you for that.
No problem. It's one of our gifts as the people who talk we always try to make sure that we get those who do work and work really hard in jiu-jitsu. I always say this. I feel like you guys should just have to do jiu-jitsu. And that, in some time, hopefully we'll have more managers and agents who can help you find the things that you need. But more importantly, rip you off in the future, because that's really what they do. But at the very least, get you guys in the focus areas so that you can concentrate on teaching, you can concentrate on competing, because that's what really makes the difference. So it is my great hope that you have a great experience over at the upcoming EBI, aka Combat Jiu-Jitsu. It's a great opportunity. And, the one humane thing that they're doing that I'm very happy about is they're doing it before Thanksgiving. So at the very least, you could go compete and then you can eat that following weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I see
either way, though,
the opposite way. Well,
yeah.
Michael, I just want to say thank you very much for taking the time to join us here today. It is a pleasure getting to know you. It looks like you got a nice, bright future ahead of you, my man. And, the best thing you can do is stay focused and keep your nose to the ground. I mean, it's already good things from here, and I know a lot of the same people that you know, and they speak very highly of you. So it was great to get the opportunity to go ahead and get to talk to you today, sir. And I wish you the best of luck in the next couple weeks, sir.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. All right, guys. So here's what you want to do. If you're joining us live right now, you're going to want to stick around, because in a few minutes, we will have Lachlan Giles joining us live to talk about whatever it is you guys want him to talk about. I don't know what possibly you'd want to talk about with Lachlan Giles right now at this time, at this venture. But he is definitely going to have, I think, some things to say about some recent comments or potential matchups. But I invite you guys, we will be right back after these commercial messages. In the meantime, I hope you guys are having a great rest of your day. We will be back in just one short second.
No!
Oh, that's my shit. All the girls love to be like this. That's my shit. That's my shit. That's my shit. That's my shit.
How good are you at video games?
Pretty decent.
Pretty decent? What's your best game?
Super Smash Bros, but it's not gonna be on.
It's not on here.
I know, but
So which of these are you better at? Are you better at Marvel versus Capcom?
let's do that.
You want that?
Let's do
okay.
that. Yeah. Are you better at it?
Oh, I'm not good at any of this.
Okay.
I'll tell you that right now.
Perfect. So we have a good chance to be even right now.
So I need you to do me a favor.
Yeah.
If you're doing too well, you have to stop.
Okay.
Okay?
Deal.
Alright.
I have never played on a console like this, so.
Never?
I mean, I played arcade games.
Wait, I was about to say
Yeah,
it's
I
an
played
arcade
arcade
game.
But I'm sorry. Let me take that back. I've had more practice with controller, but it's all right.
Okay.
I got War Machine.
You got War Machine? Okay. Okay. Oh, you get a second one here.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
I see what's going on.
Well, first, before we go,
Did you go normal or turbo?
I think I went turbo.
I'll hit it.
First of all, congratulations to you. I'm very happy to see you compete here today. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
It's gonna be fun.
I don't think it's going to be fun for me, especially. No, I don't need that in my life. Whoa, 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 dog. When did you learn how to play video games? And who taught you?
A kid, and I have two other brothers. Nice.
I actually won one.
You did.
I wasn't supposed. Oh shit! Go. Whoa, hold on, dude. You're not supposed to win. How do I switch back? Where the fuck did Storm come from? No, I got Chun Li in
I think
there.
you can do combos with different buttons.
Okay, well, my other person's dead, so that doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, you're right. I'm over here trying to do combos with those buttons.
What the hell is that? When you're doing that, is she just trying to like force block into somebody? Or being like,
Maybe.
that's what's gonna kill somebody? She's taking like all those McDojo classes and they're paying off here. Whoa. Cannons are illegal, dude. They're trying to get something kind of a legislation to beat that shit up. That's gonna be worth like Well done, sir. Oh, that was terrible. That was so close to winning. Look how close that was. Oh. That was devastating. The loss was devastating. As I replayed Chun-Li's death over and over in my head, I realized two things. One, why the hell are there skeletons watching some sort of rock concert in the background who can't even be bothered to watch the fight behind them? And two, I needed to cut to the core of Ronnie, like he did to my Ryu. In order to do that, I would have him play his upcoming Ultimate Mat Warriors super fight opponent, J.J. Wilson. All right. I want to thank Michael for coming on the show. He's great. I like the kid a lot. I wish him well at Combat Jiu-Jitsu. Where do I begin on this one? This is supposed to be a conversation congratulating this man on an amazing showing over at ADCC. However, that's not where the conversation is going to start. We'll get there, but okay, doing what I do is difficult sometimes because I like to ask questions about training and competition and really legitimate things. However, it appears that there is a game show-esque sort of thing that is being brought into the ether that I don't quite understand. So I'm just going to have to ask Lachlan Giles to go ahead and explain, one, where the fuck does he get off? And number two, what the fuck is happening between you and Gordon, dude? Because I don't understand a word of it. I need you to, and also, hi, welcome back to the show. But go ahead, answer either of those as fast as you can and as long or in depth as you want.
I'll do my best, and then maybe you can ask any questions for things that I don't cover. I'll probably start. I like Gordon. I've met him in person a bunch of times. He's always been great. And yeah, I mostly just see it as a bit of fun. I don't think I doubt that match will. I mean, I'm more than happy to do the match. That sounds awesome, especially if I have a chance to win $500,000. That'd be amazing. I kind of jumped when I saw that. I was like, okay, I'll jump on that. If I get a chance at this, I thought if I can poke him a little bit just to get him to agree to that, that'll be great.
Okay, wait, we're already getting a cart before the horse. I need people to understand because there might be 5 or 6 people who don't follow what you guys are doing on the Instagram, or who don't read a Jiu-Jitsu Times article that just goes, hey, some shit might go down. So what prompted you guys to come up with what could maybe be described as positional competition? Not even positional sparring, positional competition.
Yeah. All right, yeah, I'll go from the start. So obviously we had the open weight in ADCC. And I had a match with Gordon. We had a leg entanglement exchange, and then Gordon came on top and crushed me and passed my guard, got to mount and choked me, which I have no issues at all in what happened. And I've freely admitted that if I fought Gordon 10 times, that would probably be the case 10 times. Like I even talked I made a post about this, but I consider myself like competitive in my weight division. There's a bunch of guys that have beaten me. I feel like maybe on my best day I can beat them as well, but I don't consider myself the best guy in my weight. Obviously, I haven't proven that at all, that I'm the best guy in my weight division. I've never claimed that. I feel like I'm competitive in my weight division. And then there's like standout athletes. Like Gordon's obviously a standout athlete. Like he's in his weight division and in open weight, he's clearly like a step above the people he's competing, at least from what we've seen. So I kind of wanted to put that out there, and that's not something I've ever denied or tried to claim anything different to that. I was very happy with my performance at ADCC. I feel like I probably overstepped what my what my actual abilities were, and the reason why I say that is like I think what I came into ADCC was with I made some developments. I wouldn't even say I invented them, because I didn't invent this. Anything in jiu-jitsu you don't really invent. Like people were playing 50-50, people were playing variants that are very similar to what I do. I've certainly got my own adjustments to it, but I came in with a strategy for leg locks, which I've got my instructional about, which is, I believe it's like a bit of an update on the systems that have been used previously. Like I feel like that's the trend that's about to occur, if it hasn't already. I feel like it's started already. In fact, what got me to, like, I was already playing 50-50 a bit, and I was finding more success there from positions like 50-50 than the saddle and outside ashi. When I watched the North American ADCC trials, I actually counted from the matches I saw. I didn't watch every single match, but on my count, there were more finishes from 50-50 than there were from the saddle. And I was like, what I've been working might actually be the trend. Like, this could be actually where leg locks are headed. So I doubled down on that, and I feel like at least for my own version, I've got my own little system of that I use. It might be similar to what some other people are playing as well. And I feel like that was my advantage at ADCC. Like I made a post about this as well, where you can beat someone by being a better athlete. Like you're basically doing the same things as everyone else, and you're just better at them. You know, like you're faster, stronger, have better timing, like you're more aggressive at getting your grips. And these are things that are obviously really important things. If you want to be a high-level athlete, you kind of need that. And to be honest, sometimes I feel like I lack some of them. The other part of it, like, is you want to be winning the I call it, it's like a technology. It's like an arms race, right? Like if you have the techniques, or if you can stay a little bit ahead of the curve, you can be doing techniques and positions that people aren't familiar with, or are just better. You know, the positioning and the attacks are better than what has been previously done. If you happen to be right on the cutting edge of that, then you can beat someone who is better than you and stronger than you. And a lot of the time, it's not even new positions. It could be the same position everyone's doing, but you realize that there's a little battle here that you have to win, which determines who's controlling the position or not. You know, if you recognize that and you're very good at fighting that little battle, even if they're better than you and more athletic, often that can put you in a big advantage. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's why I feel like I kind of exceeded my actual real standing in jiu-jitsu at ADCC. I feel like I had something that people weren't quite familiar with or hadn't been dealing with as much in training. And it just happened that, you know, with my leg lock and my leg lock entries and finishes, which are all generally a little different to what's practiced, then it gave me an advantage, and I was able to submit some people who, if I rolled with on the gym on the regular, they would absolutely crush me. You know, and I have no problem admitting that. So I mean, with the Gordon thing, I saw a few of his comments in online and even in some interviews where he'd sort of kind of very downplayed my leg lock game a lot. You know, he was like, "Oh, there's nothing special. There was nothing different about it. I'm a much better leg locker than Lachlan." You know, I attacked him, he backed away, and so then I came on top again and I passed. And I just thought that was a bit disingenuous. Like from what happened in the leg entanglement, like I obviously didn't tap him, so it doesn't really mean anything in the long run. But I just felt like I actually did have good positioning in that match. Like I had a lot of transitions that worked really well for me. I got to a position I actually dug his heel. I had his heel in one of my hands, went to connect my hands, and it's obviously still, even if I do connect my hands, that's not the end of the match, but that's getting pretty close towards like a good, very nice positioning. Like, but he escaped from that, and then he came on top and passed. But I essentially I made a breakdown of it after I saw Gordon's comments. I thought that was a bit disingenuous. I don't think the way he said it was actually how it happened. So I'd made a breakdown on it on Flow Grappling. You can check that out if you have Flow Grappling, where I just sort of put my perspective on it, and then and that was all I did. I never even claimed to be better at leg locks than Gordon, and he didn't like some of the, probably more my fans comments on Instagram than anything I said, because that was basically all I said. Like, and he didn't like that, so he put up an offer for $500,000 to my $5,000 if in a leg lock only battle, and so you can only win by leg lock. And of course I said, well, there's really no downside to that for me, just from exposure alone. Even if I lost and had to pay $5,000, I think it would probably be more than good enough
here, because I think here's where everyone who has a brain probably goes, why are we doing this? Like, don't get me wrong, it's fun for shits and giggles, but the veracity in which Gordon is like saying, no, let's put up my 500K versus his 5,000 is always going like, what Vegas room would ever say
it's
this
ridiculously good. It's amazing odds for me. Like, it's amazing. Like, I feel like that's why I was like, yep. I feel like Gordon usually puts up challenges and they're much worse odds for the other person, and the person usually doesn't accept. But for this one, I was like, well, there's literally pretty much no downside for accepting, so I accepted. Yeah.
Okay. Again, I don't think anybody faults you, and I appreciate your walking us through the ability to say, like, hey, I've never said anything disrespectful about him. I don't think that, like, no one has that as an actual question or, Lachlan's really out of line here. I think it's just a matter of, you have a brand that you've proven and that you're good with, and part of what I think drives Gordon, aside from money, I think that is something, but I think that he does have a drive to be the flag bearer of Danaher's changing the game, and there is a legacy.
Oh yeah, I think
issue.
It's probably where he's. I mean, I suppose what I would have liked to see is instead of more of an attack on me, is like, okay, well, like, I put my breakdown out. It'd be nice to see, like, oh, actually, this is what I was thinking here. Like, maybe, like, from my point of view, like, I had good, again, I didn't get a finish, so it doesn't mean anything, but I had good positioning in the exchange, and I had a chance to the heel hook. It'd be nice to him to go, like, oh, actually, like, if you look here, I did this. Maybe he has his own things that I'm not thinking about that worked well for him. So that would have been, to me, the more reasonable response. But we know,
sure,
he likes to make a scene, which is cool.
But, I mean, it's funny in the sense of, like, well, okay, I guess that's what's happening now. And again, I can go train and go away, and then, like, something significantly has shifted. And they're like, Raph, have you seen what's going on between Lachlan and Gordon? I'm like, what? Like, did Lachlan finally turn heel? Like, I would pay for that. Let's see Lachlan talk some shit. Maybe that's just been building inside of him, and he's just like, hey, mate, your saddle entry's shit. Kit Dale, I've got some shit on you too. Craig Jones, it's about time, motherfucker. Like, I that's what I hoped, but instead I knew the reality was, oh, Gordon probably just felt like someone didn't put his name in a sentence, and he was just like, well, it's important that you put my name into every sentence about jiu-jitsu because I'm the best and I'm a king and I'm the greatest. So if you don't put my name in there, I start to die. Which begs the question, is he jiu-jitsu Tinkerbell? Where if you don't mention him, does he start to whittle away and die? Nonetheless, these are questions.
Definitely, if you mention him, he'll comment back. That's the...
Oh, yeah.
He's like the best at that. I'm amazed he does that so much.
To be fair,
it's quite impressive. Yeah.
It is the best quality assurance that I think any like mainstream organization would love. They're like, make sure you comment back to every single person. And so I think the only thing that does drive you a little bit more batty, especially at his level, is that with the lovable followers and his Beyonce hive that he's got of masked followers who beckon at his every word, you do seem to go a little bit more mad when you do have your supporters who then, I guess, are speaking on your behalf and are driving him crazy. And when I see him put up posts that are just like, what more do I need to do for you idiots? Because I'm out there doing everything I can. And I was like, yo, I think that's like 5 guys who agreed on that one, dude. Like, I don't think it's really even registering with anybody. So, but I guess the question is, did you ever picture yourself in the middle of a jiu-jitsu equivalent of a rap battle with Gordon at any point in your career?
No, I didn't. It's not really my. Actually, to be honest, I really don't like being involved in it at all. I'm aware it's like, part of me was like, okay, can I actually like? I didn't want to push him too much, but I was like, if I could actually get him to agree to this $500,000 to my fight, that's actually pretty good odds, and I should try and take. Like that's pretty amazing. But I don't know. I doubt it'll happen.
I mean, here's the good news. It's closer than Galvo happening. So,
yeah.
At one point we were talking about $1 million being put in and that not being enough. And I was like, and I was raising my hand over on the side being like, all of jiu-jitsu doesn't have $1 million. So like, I don't think so. Brandon BJJ says, Lachlan heel hooked them. I trained with Lucas and he couldn't beat them, or he couldn't beat him. Okay. Thank you. I don't know what that's about.
I didn't like Lucas Lepre, and I couldn't beat Lucas Lepre.
I think he's saying I trained with Lucas and he couldn't beat him.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't beat Lucas. Yep. Thanks.
I mean,
I agree.
Here's some good news.
Yeah.
You're 2 for 2 on this show because I also have not beaten anybody named Lucas. So I don't know that that's a standard that way we judge a great jiu-jitsu on. But, I mean, you seem to have a good sense about it. It was just... I had 2 reactions to this, and I'll give you my 100% real reactions.
Yeah.
My first reaction was, I looked at it and I go, Lachlan, you're the adult in the room. Like, you have to not do this. You don't have to not be into this. And then I saw you and you go, yeah, I'm into it. And I go, why? And you go, in your explanation on Instagram, I go, yeah, there's nothing wrong with this. It checks out. If he's looking at it from the financial way of saying, like, why would I not? Like, tell me one good reason why I should not do this.
Pretty much, yeah.
So we have a few questions here. It says, tell Dr. Giles to be careful as there are a lot of trolls on the internet. Yes, that is true. Yeah. Sometimes Luke is one of them, so that's fine. Lachlan is a great competitor. He's telling you, Brandon is saying that. No question here, but went to your seminar in Brooklyn a few weeks ago, and it was fantastic. Outside Senkaku has changed my whole game, and that's from Mac Blonner. Zach has a joke for you, it appears. Would you like to hear this joke?
Oh, no. Is this Zach that trains with me? Okay, yeah, go on.
Is Zach a man?
Yeah. Oh, God, here we go.
All right. I'm an actual comedian. I get paid to tell jokes, so I'm going to read someone else's joke here. All right.
You're actually... Oh, no. All right. Hey,
Lachlan, why didn't the skeleton go to the wedding?
Why didn't the skeleton go to the wedding, Zach?
Because he had no body to go with.
Very good. I think we should answer there.
And you know what? That's when the audience loses their powers for privileged questions at this moment. So we'll come back to you, audience. Okay, but he says, the way you set up the heel hook is funny. Lucas taught a way of setting it up that following week. Oh, I mean, that's cool. I'm sure that one of the benefits that does come...
Is this Lucas Lepre or is this...
See, we haven't gotten a firm answer. Brandon seems to be very complimentary of you. I think he's just detailing a timeline of what happened after ADCC.
Ah, cool.
So
awesome.
Maybe that's a good transition to actually get into talking about I'll tell you one thing that happened on my side of the world. So we did a live stream, and we had one person ask the following question during our live stream. And the way they phrased it was so poor that we kept making fun of them on the show. But they said, "Who disappointed you the most at ADCC?" And I was like, I don't know, dude. I don't really think any of these guys disappoint me as human beings. And this guy goes, "Mine was Lachlan Giles." And I was like, "Do you mean you were disappointed that they didn't get to advance in their weight category?" And they were like, "Yeah." So then suddenly it became like, I think what you mean to say was, who would you have liked to have seen compete more? And who would you like to have seen got more chances to compete? And people were like, yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. So lo and behold, when you show up in the absolute category, the whole internet goes crazy. And this is before anything has happened. It's like they announced Keith was in it. And, obviously I felt like we were going to see Gary and Gordon. And then they announced you. And everybody was like, yes, he's back in. So I want to be forthcoming with everybody loving how much you were in it. But I would love to start by talking a little bit about your experience in the weight category. So tell us a little bit about your experience on going to ADCC, I guess the week leading into it, and then the day of competition, sir.
Yeah. So I did my whole training camp in Melbourne, Australia. So I was feeling like, I honestly, in the last year, but especially the last 6 months, I've seen I just felt like I'd improved massively. And I was really mostly focusing on two areas, which were wrestling and my leg locks. I was just basically trying to really narrow my training down and try to get to the legs, and if it happened to go to overtime, I was ready to wrestle. So I've been wrestling now for probably for the last 4 to 5 years. I was doing more wrestling than jiu-jitsu, actually. You didn't see any of it in ADCC. But I won the Australian titles for wrestling, and I did I was putting a lot, and I still am.
I'm gonna put that on because I there's a certain amount of, hey, you go, Lachlan Giles. When we saw you in the singlet, and I was just like, oh, he's giving up all of his leg lock powers. He's going straight into the abyss, and not just in it, but the man is wearing a singlet. I believe that is representative of, hey, I'm trying to do y'all's shit, and I did pretty good out here.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I will say wrestling in Australia is certainly not to the same level as the USA, so it was very, very, very big difference between an Australian title than a American title. But yeah, so
think about it like this. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I do. I think the one thing to consider on that caveat that you're putting out there is the biggest, I guess, criticism they have for so many people in jiu-jitsu is that they don't try to at least get up and do wrestling. And if your goal is to make a showing at ADCC, you really are taking a huge risk to not do any wrestling prep.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And that's just from your side. From our side, not seeing you wrestle there is like, he's just going to butt scoot. So at the very least, dude, you can downplay it any way you want. But for the rest of us, I see you doing that. And I know we're joking, but I'm 100% saying, damn, that's cool. Good for him, because I don't see some other guys doing it. And that's why we see these butt heads of, finals for people moving back and forth and being like, please don't try to take me down because I don't know what to do if you do that.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about ADCC is there's a bunch of different strategies you can use, but I think you'd be foolish to not be prepared for an overtime where you have to wrestle. I mean, to be honest, it was obviously a mistake, but I fought JT Torres the previous ADCC, and we went into overtime, and I spent basically the whole regulation match on my back in guard, and I didn't get past, and I thought, I kind of felt like, okay, my guard retention skills are good enough. I'll be able to, I'm going to go for leg locks, and if not, then I'll get overtime and I'll do wrestling. And that actually fell apart a bit because Lucas, I'll say he passed me. He didn't pass me. He forced me to turn my back to prevent the guard pass, and then he took my back. So it's essentially, it was from a guard pass that sent me out of that match, basically. So yeah, he's I mean, obviously he's got possibly the best knee cut pass in the world, and he got quite deep on that, and I was like, okay, I can see why he's so good at this. It's this is going to be tough. And I decided to turn my back to prevent the pass points, and that gave my back, and he took it. So yeah, but to be honest, leading into, I was feeling way more confident for, I think, like having that narrow strategy. I felt a lot more confident leading into the match than I actually normally do, just because I was like, okay, like whatever scenario I tried to replay in my head, like what if they do this, what if they do that, I knew what my answer would be. It's going to be like, okay, well, let's funnel it back into the game I want to play, which is to try and get to the legs, and then if it's overtime, we go wrestling. So yeah, I was probably more confident than I normally had. And I knew I'd made a lot of improvements in the last 6 months to a year. So it's actually my first loss in 2019 against Lucas. I've had a pretty good year.
Well, you'll have to excuse me if I take a moment to be like, I mean, there are worse people to lose to.
He's amazing. Yeah, he's.
But you know, very, I mean, very... like, I just love you being like, had a good run in 2019 until some guy, Lucas, whatever, he's just some dude. Screw that. No, I mean, it was one of the things where, it's so hard to explain, because I always tell people, don't get accustomed to Absolute not bringing back some of these amazing people. Like for Absolute, it's just kind of this great moment of, okay, everything begins all over again, because it's a whole new bracket. It's got a lot of mystery to it. Somebody might have gotten in the zone and then they run with that. Some people, maybe have a great weight run and then they don't necessarily have a great Absolute run. So stranger things happen. How do you get asked if you're going to be doing the Absolute? And more importantly, when do you know you're in?
Yeah, so, well, we're actually, we went out obviously after the loss. I was pretty disappointed in my performance in my weight. I mean, just knowing that I had, I felt like, especially the stuff I'd been doing with leg locks and the wrestling as well, I actually felt like, even though I might not be in my opinion, I might not be the top guy in that division. I felt like with my strategy, I had a good chance at actually medaling or even winning it. Just probably based on like the tactics and how I'd trained for the event. Like I was very, I feel like I had the smartest training in the lead up to the event. So I was obviously pretty disappointed in that. And then it's just like, okay, well, like literally everything I've done in the last 2 years was for that, and that's it. It's over. And so it's pretty frustrating. But I mean, you got to, for every story like me, which is very rare, that you actually happen to go and do well in the open weight, there's another 15 people, 14 people in my division who walk away and they don't get that opportunity, and they just
think we're taking a moment to get our connection back with one Lachlan Giles. Give us just a second to let's go ahead and relocate him. If you aren't following us, this is probably a good time to remind you guys to go ahead and follow us at Grappling Hour on all the major networks. I think there we go. I think we just lost you.
Yeah, you lost me. Second. Okay, I had you all the whole time. Okay.
Oh, you had me the whole time?
Anyway, so yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
go right ahead. I'm sorry
to
interrupt you, sir.
Yeah. So I was obviously very disappointed. We went out for the team went out for dinner. I might have had a beer or two. And then I think we were sitting we just went down to the bar, which is down from the hotel where everyone was staying, and Mo, who was the organizer of ADCC, was sitting across the table, and he's, I don't know, somehow we bumped paths, and he's like, "Oh, you're doing the Absolute tomorrow?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. Everyone's pretty big." I said, "Can you not?" I said, "Oh." He's like, "You should do it." I'm like, "Yeah, just can you not give me someone like Bushesha, someone who's going to injure me?" And he's like, yeah, no worries. So I sign up. the next day. I'm like, yeah, all right, why not? Actually, to be honest, like I'm saying this as more of a to say like you shouldn't have any excuses in that, like on that day, like I was quite jet lagged. I think I went to sleep at 12 that night and woke up at 1 a.m. and I didn't get to sleep again till like 5 a.m. So then I had to wake up at 8 to get down to the event and watch Craig and so on. So I had about 4 hours sleep that night. I was starting to get it cold. Like everything that should be an excuse was there, except that I had the best performance. Obviously, it didn't affect me at all, and I had the best performance of my life so far, at least, which I don't think I'll top that, actually, to be honest. But like, yeah, so I'm saying that more to say, like, sometimes you have these excuses, but actually once you're in there, it doesn't matter. Like, you're there, you're fighting, and you do your thing. So I was kind of like, but I was sitting backstage like, oh, should I actually be doing, like, I saw the draw came out and I had Kanan, and I'm like, yeah, thanks, Mo. Don't give me Buchecha, but you give me Kanan. that's
To be fair, your hey, don't give me Buchecha became Keith Kokorian's give him Buchecha.
Yeah.
And they have me on video recorded when we're on air. And I was like, somebody I think messaged me and they go, we had a correspondent, we had Jake Watson. Jake calls me and he goes, hey, Raph, Keith's in the absolute. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Good for him. Who's he going against? They're like, Buchecha. And on air, you hear me go, that's murder. No. No, that's mean. Why would you do that? And I know for sure there's this, which is if they would never do this, but if somebody came up to me, an idiot who has nothing to do with this, and they gave me the Chael Sonnen pass, and they just said, like, I mean, you really weren't in the tournament, but, like, I think I would have to, because I'd just be sitting there being like, I don't want to get demolished by Buchecha, but when else would that happen? Like, you feel like you're winning a mini lottery just to get in there and be like, yeah, I guess you kind of have to. I really didn't have it on my radar. I was really looking to just go home, guys, but... All right.
Yeah, well,
when I die, it's been a good life.
To be honest,
everybody.
if you had said like, if Mo had said the night before, like, oh, you got first round, you'll have Kanan, I would have been like, oh, you know what? Probably don't worry about it. Like, it's like once I've put my name down and they've put me in the bracket, I'm like, well, I guess I'm in. Like, I'm gonna have to do it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, it was to the relief of a large part of the internet and excitement to get to see you come back into it. And we held our breath with bated breath, and I have to go see if I have clips of me, because I do recall jumping out of my seat a couple times, or at least having a bit of excitement when I saw you come close. Like, even just setting it up for your finishes, it was like, oh shit, this motherfucker's gonna do it. He's gonna fucking do it. And I'm pretty sure that's what I said now that I'm thinking about it. I was like, he's done. He fucking did it. And it was like a collective thing. We had somebody here, Brandon, the same person who was vaguely talking shit about you, but actually loves you. And he did clarify, he did say yes, Lucas Lepre. He writes in here, he says, people in the crowds were thinking if he can beat Gordon, he will win the whole thing. So apparently, you were gladiatoring your way to freedom. I guess one could say, through this. So talk me through your first match, man, because I really would love to hear your perspective from the moment you were about to enter, because, again, I know finals are going. At this point, are you even registering finals? Are you even watching any of them, or are you just so focused on Absolute?
I watched Craig's final. Yeah, after that, I was backstage. I didn't watch the rest of the finals. I was backstage getting ready just waiting around and seeing what was going on for the Absolute. So, yeah, and then obviously once we got the draw, I had Kanan and I was like, I was chatting to a few people and they were all like, making those faces as if like, good luck. Yeah, and I knew Craig had fought Kanan before, and he had a nice counter to Craig's leg lock entry. And I knew actually. I mean, it's funny because Craig and I have talked. The counter that Kanan used against Craig and I both know that exact counter, and we know when it does and doesn't work as well. So I think Craig was almost unlucky to get caught with, like, he kind of did something that he normally wouldn't do in that particular transition. But I knew that the entries I've been using from K guard, actually with my foot in front of the hip, will block that particular counter. So I was like, okay, I've got to I was like, my only chance is to leg lock him. I'm not really gonna take his back or take him down or anything like that. I've been working my wrestling, but not enough to beat a plus 99 kilo champion. I think that's getting a bit ridiculous. So, I thought, okay, I've got to try to get to the legs. And I knew he kind of steps into De La Riva, like that's how he passes. And actually, I actually quite liked, to be honest, out of all the Absolute, I actually quite liked Kanan's answers to my entry. He got close to taking my back off the K guard entry twice. The first one, he got quite deep, and I knew I was holding onto his leg just, and I knew if I could keep that, I could swing back and try to get into 50-50, but his counter was actually, it's not something I haven't dealt with before, but there's one thing to deal with that counter, and there's another to have the guy who's an incredibly good grappler doing the same move that your training partners have been doing, right. Doing it to you. So like countering Kanan's is maybe another level too, obviously apart from someone like Craig, who I think is extremely talented as well. But yeah, that crab ride sort of counter to the back is very nice, and Kanan got very close to that, and I just managed to recover. And I think I got to 50-50 once or twice in that match before I managed to sort of sneak something I do a bit different, which is I often catch the heel first and then collect the knee line second. And I think that's probably what threw him off a bit, in that usually people try and catch the knee line and then look to dig the heel out. And I did the opposite, which I think he probably wasn't expecting. I looked like he felt pretty safe until I suddenly had my grip and I was shooting my feet in to try to start the bridge. So I managed to catch that heel hook, and I think if you watch the footage, I'm kind of stand up with my arms in the air. I'm like, what just happened? I'm walking around with my hands up and making this weird expression, like, is this real? And the whole crowd was going crazy. So and then that was match one. Do you want me to keep going? Is that?
I do.
But yeah.
I do, but I do want to pause, just because when we do talk about this, it's easy to just bypass that in terms of a psychological aspect, because for me, I don't know how I wouldn't just be like, well, I won. I didn't really want to do this. I'm good, everybody. I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
That happened. So good luck to everybody competing for the rest of Absolute. This was fun. Oh, and then somebody coming up and going, by the way, now your reward for beating Union is to now go on and do it again and see what happens. Okay, bye. Have fun. So can you tell us then what happens? Like, obviously you're excited. You celebrate. Your face shows it, because it wasn't far from my face. I'll tell you that much. So even as a spectator, it is fairly funny. So if you wouldn't mind walking us through your second match now.
Well, it's kind of similar to the you were there at Kinetic, weren't you? Yeah. So like in the Kinetic event, on the Kinetic event, I remember like I had my first match was against Muncher, and we'd fought before, and that was he won the decision, but it was essentially a as in no submission. So I was like, okay, this is a submission only event. It's less time than when we fought on Polaris. It'll probably nothing will happen. And then I managed to get the heel hook on Muncher, and I was like, oh, now I got to fight again, because this is like a month before ADCC, and I'd actually said to Craig, I think, I'm like, can you just like take out you guys take out the team, and if I don't have to fight, I'm happy with that, because I didn't want to get it's open weight essentially. I was like, I don't want to get injured before ADCC. So I was like, and then when we heard Muncher was the first match for that, and I was like, well, he's my weight, and we'll probably just have a draw. Can I go against him? That'll be awesome. Like, I get a good match, and then probably nothing happens. And I won that, and I was like, oh, this wasn't the plan. Now I have to fight these big guys, and I kept winning, and they were getting bigger and bigger. So it was a kind of similar feeling to that. I was like, oh, that's awesome, but now what? And I looked over, and it's Patrick Gaudio. The only good thing was he just had a war with Mike Perez, and the Gaudio was like lying on the ground, exhausted for a while, and eventually I think they gave him a decent break. But I know for myself that you don't. If you're like that tired, you don't fully recover for your next match. Like, you're going to be feeling it and trying to conserve your energy. And I think that's how he played. Like, he was kind of backing away a bit more. I think he just wanted to pick his times to use energy and try to pass or whatever his plan was. Like, he's basically going, okay, I'll just like mostly conserve energy, get my points, and then kind of wait. And I think where that went undone for him is he got a warning for passivity. And then he sat back for my leg, and that actually let me get in on his leg and sort of go counter leg lock there. So, I got that was round 2, and then I was like, oh, I'm actually in a semi-final of the open weight. This is ridiculous. I mean, that was Gordon. So
I'll tell you this much: the joke I said, I do remember this one vividly. Was I said, and ladies and gentlemen, your semi-final. For one side of the absolute bracket is Lachlan Giles versus Gordon Ryan, or as BJJ Fanatic says, ka-ching! So that joke, I was like, oh, I'm super proud of that. But that, I mean, obviously, you know Gordon's going to be tough, but, you know, it was a fun match to watch. Obviously, we didn't know the implications would happen as they were, but you have to feel like, all right, you can see the podium at the very least, you know, so you know that either win or lose here, you still got your shot back there. And to come back from having that first round of your weight not go the way, where are you mentally now?
Well, I was like, at least I'm like, I think I might have earned I was like, maybe I've earned my invite back. Like, because one of the reasons, like Mo had actually said to me, is like, if you do the ADCC, like the open weight, you got more chance at getting an invite, which I was like, yeah, but what if I just go in and get killed, you know? Does that actually help me? But I was like, oh, but now I've actually won 2 matches. Like, maybe, I think I might have done enough. But yeah, so obviously I had Gordon, and, you know, as I said at the start, I felt like I'd been working a bunch of different stuff for my leg locks. I know, like, from speaking to people, that generally I feel like at Danaher's, they're more using leg locks now to, like, once someone's good at defense, they're more using it to, like, make people turn, escape, and chase the back. So I think they've been focusing a lot less on just, like, hunting the heel hook and trying to finish the heel hook. So I thought, well, that's what I've been doing. I've been trying, and I've changed. I'm doing something a bit different. Maybe if I play my game against Gordon, like, not maybe, but that's basically the only way I saw myself having a chance at winning that match. So I decided to enter the leg entanglement battle. And as I said, I feel like in terms of positionally and, like, the transitions, a lot of stuff worked really well for me in that match, but it didn't result in, obviously, a finish. And then Gordon got out of there, got up and squashed me. So yeah, but yeah, that was probably my only chance. And, you know, speaking to people that roll with him, it's like, you know, he's just ridiculously good.
Well, before Gordon
exactly,
had gotten to you, obviously there was the Gary Tonin euthanizing. So there was a little bit of, you know, even watching that match happen before it was you, was being like, I mean, Gary knows some of his best secrets and has helped with his formal training into it. So it's not dissimilar from, I would say, a relationship you and Craig could have. Like, some of your best friends become your worst enemies on this absolute bracket where you're just like, oh, Jesus, not him. Of all the people in the world, I got to do this. Those things happen. But, I mean, at this point, I feel like, to me, when I was watching the finals, I feel like we do this every ADCC where we get super excited about it. We're like, yay! Oh man, this is so much fun. And then, like, you're kind of into it, And then once we get to those finals, we're just kind of like, we got to find a winner. Yay. Okay. This is going, guys. Like, can somebody do something here? But the minute they release those absolute brackets, and I believe Mo is to credit for this, but it could be Mo and a team of his, or just maybe it is him, but whoever is putting that absolute bracket together was, like, that rescued that Sunday for all of us. Not just you competing. It rescued it for us because I was like, these are moving so slow. Like, we're trying to, like, do jokes on them and try to make it interesting in any way possible. And I was like, it's tough, guys. You know, if you're commentating on it or you're just trying to have fun or, you know, be entertaining and you don't have to be stuffy, it's still difficult to be like, this is exciting.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we were watching. We're obviously very excited. Your run happens there, but I feel like you were a big part of energizing that crowd back up. What did you feel like? Were the crowd, what were they yelling at you? Could you make any of it? Is it just a blur? What does that feel like?
It's mostly a blur. I mean, I just remember like the how loud the crowd was, and I've watched back. You know, people have shown me where, you know, people were chanting my name, which is crazy. But just yeah, I think like just I don't know the loudness of the crowd, and I could tell they were behind. Like, you know, everyone wants the little guy to do well against the big guys. So yeah, I could tell they were behind me, which I don't know if maybe that helped. I don't know, but it was definitely a pretty amazing experience. So.
Can I pose a theory possibly on why Gordon was a little so, you know, interested or had a vested interest on the leg lock battle? I know we talked about legacy sort of issues of him protecting Danaher and his contributions to that system versus, you know, your leg lock knowledge, and obviously it's something that you've carved and you have a lot of fans for. But maybe this is something you guys haven't considered. Maybe I'm just seeing something you guys both don't see, which is maybe Gordon got a little jealous on the shine that you got on all those memes that basically had the equivalent of like Gordon winning double gold and then like that guy not looking at him being the girl in the background but instead looking at you passing by. So maybe that had more to do with driving him insane than most people would give credit to.
Yeah, it's very hard for me to comment on what drives Gordon, so I'll avoid it.
I'm not going to make you comment on that, but I will ask you, what did it feel like to become a meme sensation? Because we haven't even gotten to talking about how you secured your bronze just yet, but I'd like to separate that from the actual fascination, because obviously the crowd's into it 2.5 matches in. By the time you're about to go, I don't know that there's a person really who's rooting against you. So what does that feel like when you see the internet making all these memes shouting you like the people's champion?
It's pretty awesome. I felt like it made me look like I'm funny because I just people made these memes and I would just share them and then I'd get all this, To
be
like,
fair,
I don't even have to be funny. People do it for me and then I just reshare. So
to be fair, that is Craig's
good.
secret.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not like, you know, people are always like, man, Craig's got a great sense of humor. And I was like, he doesn't write his own stuff.
Yeah, I don't write my own stuff. I just let other people do it.
You have less against, and we'll get into, I guess, a little bit of why in just a minute on that one. But let's talk about your bronze match. And I guess just the feeling of going through that match and the aftermath of it.
Yeah, I mean, all I remember is like, I think probably before the event, I walked past Muhammad Ali. And I'm like, whoa, that guy is huge. I'm glad I'm not fighting him. I
think we're also on Melbourne internet right now, so we're going to give Lachlan just a second to get it.
And then,
there we go.
Oh, wait.
You just cut out for a split
tell me
second. I'm going to let you know that you're back in 3, 2, and resume speaking.
We're back on?
Yes.
You got me? Yep, good. All right. So yeah, it was a weird thing to be standing across from Ali, this mountain of a man, and having to fight for third. I mean, that's still in my head. I was like, well, I know if I get to a leg, like, you know, if you get to a leg, it's the strength doesn't matter that much. Like, not as much as for, I think, like regular parts of jiu-jitsu battles anyway. So, but I mean, I don't think for any of those matches I walked in going, yeah, I'm going to win this. Like, I was like, okay, I've had my run, but I'll try again. Let's see how far this can go. And I got it. So, yeah, I got to the leg. And then when I got the submission, I was like, wow, this is ridiculous. I just got to, even right now when I say, just talking through it, I'm like, I actually have a bronze medal in the open weight in absolute. And people have told me like the names of people who have like achieved that, you know, like Marcelo and Galvao, and I'm like, yeah, but those guys have won other stuff. This is my thing, you know. But anyway, I'm happy with that. So,
well,
yeah.
You should be, man. And I mean, again, it's got to say something that the crowd was so inherently behind you, and for all of us to go from, you know, I mean, just from my side of the world on like having someone being like, who disappointed you the most? And I was like, nobody disappointed me, dude. Like, I just would like to see Lachlan get some more time to do his thing. And then like everybody being like, yeah, me too. I love Lachlan. Lachlan's great. I'd love to see him get his shine on too. And then all of a sudden you get back in and you not only come in, it seemed like you basically energized, you super saiyaned in front of all of us, and we were all like, oh shit, this man's on a run. Let's take this man to a table in Vegas right now, because I don't know when this ride ends. But I think part of the mystique, and I think the reason why people do love you is you have a scientific approach to how you go through this. So you have the everyman approach to, well, that's a big dude. I got to figure something out here, and
Yeah.
going in with your wits and making something of it, and not just letting the wits, you know, or the situation overconsume you or anything like that. You know, you did it on your terms, and you made something super great about it. And now you are in that echelon, man. I mean, the weird part is they may have won other things, but this is one of the moments that I don't think people ever forget. So
Yeah.
between having your BJJ Fanatics team run and this, you know, there's not really a bad way the year's going to end for you, I don't think. I don't want to speak too soon, but I feel like it is a very impressive confirmation of all the things that you were working for. So having said that, though, can we talk about what a shit Craig is? Because you know him well, but what are we supposed to do with this man when he has glasses on indoors? He's contagious. Nobody wants to make a light of it. Nobody knows what to do with it. And I'll tell you, on my side, when I did go to the bracket reveal, I saw him. And as a joke, I didn't know he was still there. Because I was like, well, if he's competing, he should be fine, right? I mean, Keenan pulled out. And I see him, and I just jokingly say, like I would if he had eye cooties or not, I was like, you can't be here. And he kind of does this to me, like... And then I realized I was like, oh shit, he really is contagious. Like, I was just giving a mess, but the man is seriously still there. So, were you wearing protective gloves? Were you concerned? And I think there's a perspective from some people who were saying, do you stop him from competing if you're an organizer, because people were bitching about the aftermath of it? It's a very tricky situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a tough question. I mean, ADCC comes once every 2 years. It's like something like that. I mean, put it this way, like as a competitor, if someone said to me like, okay, you're fighting this guy, he's got like conjunctivitis, you can fight him or you can pull out, I'd still fight him. Like it's obviously it's something you don't want to get. It's a hard one. Like it's a hard one because it's like literally ADCC. Like obviously in a local comp, no way, a local comp or anything else, ADCC is probably where it gets very tricky. Like literally, someone could have trained all their their whole life. This could be their best shot in their whole life at winning this thing or doing their best performance, and like potentially leave a legacy. And not just, this obviously can help their career. You medal at ADCC, you can get medal or win ADCC, you can get seminars and open up a gym and have it can actually affect your whole rest of your life to a decent extent, I think. So yeah, I think it's a tough question to answer. I'm glad I didn't have to be in the shoes of someone who had that and had to decide to compete or not. I'm glad it wasn't me. I mean, obviously from a medical point of view, the obvious answer is you don't compete if you've got something that's contagious.
Yeah. Again, it's.
But that's just from a medical. That's not looking at all the hard work and what the ramifications of it would be to not. So yeah.
Again, a very odd situation. I just thought maybe, and I'd love to get your feedback on this. Maybe what we should have done in retrospect, and we're all about learning here, is take the people who might questionably want to do steroids and throw them in a bracket with cooties and just say, like, anything goes in that bracket. Like, that's the one where we just say, listen, bring your sickness, bring your STDs, Gary, bring everything you got and put them into that one mat and just go, listen, no one complains at all here. If there's a wooden leg table that they brought in, then tough, deal with that shit. Was how I was thinking maybe we remedy it. But like when you guys are having dinner, did you like look at him and go like, that's cool. Could you go to the end of the table and you don't get any of my food? Is that what was happening there?
I certainly did more fist bumps than handshakes, put it that way.
I kid you not. When I went to the
whole
bracket
tournament, actually, I didn't know what was going around.
Dog, just going to the bracket reveal was enough to make me, like, I was seeing people, and mind you, I haven't seen some of these people in a while, so I was just like, hey, what's going on? And then anytime I saw somebody from New York, I was like, no, go away. I'm happy to see you. I'll talk to you. You know what? Skype is good.
Yeah.
Skype is great. I can't get anything contagious from Skype. Okay, bye. So that was something. But obviously, I guess the real question I do wonder, though, is did that impair his vision in any extent that you know of? Or even as a competitor, do you have the perspective of, yeah, if you've got like half an eye, is that kind of making things a little bit more difficult?
I mean, we're talking about his eye poke, right?
Well,
yeah. So I'm not sure. It's hard to say whether it affected him or not.
Okay. I mean, Craig and I are due to do one of these in a little bit too, so I'm not super worried about a number of things. I just know that I need to let enough time pass before. If we've got Brandon BJJ over here trying to clarify, like, you're okay, Lachlan, but Lucas Lepre taught that exact opposite. And you're like, I don't know what the question is. I just like the idea that I'm like, I got to give some time before I open up the questions to the internet with the fully recovered Craig Jones of being like, hey, Dick, I've got some grievances I'd like to air with you. And being like, oh, I'm not in charge of this, guys. Well, let me ask this, because we got a couple comments here. I did want to go ahead and ask you. This is good. This is from Russell Bassett. And I believe this is right up your alley. If a velociraptor is running and he speeds up, does he become an acceleraptor?
Yes.
There we go. See, that's you. I think you're starting to get the gist of how to play with the trolls, because some of these, and again, this isn't a terrible question, but it might be ingrained a little weird. Brandon BJJ asks, Lachlan, how would you have tried to sub them in IBJJF rules with no heel hooks?
Oh, I probably would have tried to. I mean, I use the same. I use the same entries, but I'm going to go 50-50 and then try to look for a back take from 50-50. That's going to be my best my next best bet against those guys. You're not going to straight ankle lock someone twice your size, so I think I basically have to forget about leg locks and have to go for the back, which is, as I said at the start, it's probably not going to happen. Like, it'd be much less likely to happen than a leg lock, I think, than a heel hook.
This one is from Mac Blonner, who writes, here's a question for Lachlan. What's something that in terms of class structure or teaching style that most BJJ gyms are doing wrong?
I don't train at most BJJ gyms. It's funny. I mean, this is a simple one, but I get a lot of people that come and train. They're like, "Oh, I really liked the specific training you're doing," and I'm like, "Oh, that's not like I've been doing that for forever." But that's just like whatever we teach in class, we then spend a good 10, maybe 15 minutes. Like, let's put a very narrow restriction on where this battle can be played, and we start from there. And you go, and you either get the move to work, or they counter it, and then you go back and you try again, and you start to see where the timing is and what the main counters are, and then hopefully at the end of that you got some questions, and we go through any troubleshooting. So I mean, I do that in pretty much every class that we run. That's probably one thing.
Kevin Lau writes, Skyrim or Fallout?
Skyrim.
Is there any reason for that one?
I always preferred like the medieval sort of things over the like futuristic things.
Okay, I guess that's a good thing to know. I don't know that this is a great question, but it is one that we did.
These are all people that I know that are trying to troll me. Anyway, keep going.
Lachlan, how many sponsors have you gotten since ADCC?
I've still got the same sponsor. So I'm sponsored by MA1, which is there's the guy that runs that's also part owner of Absolute. So yeah.
Well, we also got this one, which is, what are your guys' thoughts on Nick Rod?
He obviously did really well. Excellent. I think you probably see more of that. Like, I think especially at that weight division, generally the heavier you go, the more the person wants to play on top. So then the person who's better at getting on top is more likely to win. And being a good wrestler, and very credit to Nick, he's not just a good wrestler, but he's actually like developed some quick guard passes and excellent back takes and back defense as well. So like, I think where some wrestlers go wrong is they try to just get on top and just stay in the guard, whereas he's actually trying to pass and take the back. And I think the back taking skills, especially in ADCC, when someone doesn't want to give the points and they turn, being able to take the back and finish. So I think he's got an excellent game plan for his style, and he's a hard guy to beat at that weight division. I think he's going to struggle more against the guys who play like a flexible guy, play off their back, or he'd struggle against someone who's a higher level wrestler, which I think there was no one in ADCC that was able to push that side of it against him too. Generally.
The other thing to overlook is, I've met the kid a number of times. He's very polite. He's very nice. He's as good as they come in terms of mentality. Just because if you're going to have his kind of mentality, it's very strange that he has the one other person who I think has as committed as a personality as Gordon does in terms of self-belief. Because one of the things that people have credited Gordon on is, if he sees a move, he can make that one move happen. It doesn't matter what it is. He can make that one move that he's thinking of happen. And I feel like with Nicky, it's just kind of like, dude, if that dude decides he wants to go into kill mode, there's some jiu-jitsu that just might not work. And I think the more that he gets mat time and the more he figures out how to use his superpower or his special powers, it's going to break some of the things that we've traditionally been able to get away with. And I think that's already been evident through just watching him at ADCC. Because, like, you would look over and you're like, oh, man, he's not getting out of that first round. And then, lo and behold, he did. So there's a resourcefulness and a great mental attitude that I think is going to carry him far. And, that's if we get to keep him. They're talking about professional wrestling with him. They're talking about male model with him. That's if, BJJ steroids doesn't try to break him down. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different things that come out for that young man. And he's told me, he's like, you know, if worse things come to worst, I guess I'm just going to have to go into MMA. Like, that's my worst case scenario. And I'm like, you have a lot of options open to you. I don't think you're going to be worried about a lot of the things. So those are my thoughts on him. Lachlan, let me ask this. How do you celebrate? What does celebration look like to you for ADCC once it's all said and done? Because you get the nice little shiny thing here. What is?
What do I do? I mean, to be honest, like what I've been doing, it's pretty like, you know, already the life I live, I'm pretty happy with, which is just come in, train jiu-jitsu, teach jiu-jitsu, eat nice food, spend time with my wife. And then now I basically end up spending more time on Instagram, so which I barely used to use before, but I figure I probably should.
You gotta ride that wave, young man.
I gotta ride that wave while I can.
If all people want to do is talk about you, you know, you gotta kind of sit there and be like, I mean, are we talking about me? Do you guys want to watch my DVD again? Because you could buy another one. I've got more coming, guys. So, you know, I do appreciate this, though. BJJ Fanatics works amazingly fast. How quickly before they call you and go, hey, can we all make more money together? Because what you did was good and it worked and, like, you know, but, like,
Well, what actually, I'd finished filming the instructional beforehand, and I was in the editing process. And then, actually, so really, if you ask what I did to celebrate it, it was most of the time, apart from the Instagram, was getting on my computer and editing, because I kind of do my own editing for it. I have a structure that I like I make big, long instructionals. Like, you know, they've got a lot of content, and I feel like they're structured in a very, like, if you're going to make a lot of content, it can be really messy and no one's going to get anything out of it, or you just structure it really well and it's going to be very good because it's like very easy to follow and everything's in the right order and so on. And so that's why I basically edited it and got to editing and tried to put it all together and get it to Fanatics as quick as I could.
Are you the only one that edits your own video?
I think so.
Can I ask what that says about you? Because can't you just hire an editor that you can yell at? Like, can I impart some Hollywood wisdom?
Yeah, but they're not gonna. I mean, yeah, but they're not gonna know how I like it. You know, as much as I can. If you want to take, like, you know, 300 separate files, like, it's going to be hard for me to tell you how they should be ordered.
Lachlan,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get it. It's just sometimes, as a person who has to do all of my own editing and work and all that sort of stuff, I would kill to siphon some of this off to an editor. And more importantly, I look at somebody like you and I think to myself, all right, here, Tarantino, I get it. You want to cut and write and edit your own film. I understand that. But do you understand that you have a pattern in life of being like, I mean, I'm going to be a high-level competitor, but I'm also going to get my PhD just because I hate spare time and I want to make things harder on myself. Like, I just look at you and I'm like, Lachlan, for the love of God, take a vacation somewhere, go celebrate yourself, go do something nice for you.
Well, actually, we went to Canada just after. We went and saw some grizzly bears and some orca. That was a good little trip. Straight after ADCC. That was planned already, straight after ADCC. But still, when I got home from that, I was back editing. There you go. That was my vacation.
Because the other thing is and we didn't really even talk about this, but, like, you're not the only one competing, too. So, you know, in your family. So,
yeah.
You know, you're that every time you're competing, your wife has to be competing as well. And you're not the only one getting ready for ADCC. She's also in that training. So for me, it's just sitting there and being like, the strain I know that has to take just on amount of free time and everything that you've got to do. It's a lot, man. So, you know, someone else could go edit for you because look at all these other people. I can tell you one thing, Gordon is not editing his videos. as is Danaher when their first video came out, because that first BJJ Fanatics video, and I'm so glad they came over it, but like I heard car alarms going off. I'm pretty sure I heard like cats being like meow, like in the background, like it sounded like a sound Foley artist just was like, okay, just whatever sound you got here, woof, burr, 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 like everything came in.
Yeah. Anyway, I like to do. I don't know. Yeah, I agree. It's just about having, for me, I want it to be the best. I've always had this which I think's actually turned out pretty well. Is that if I make it the best quality it can, then it's gonna sell. Otherwise, it's like you win it, you do well in ADCC, and everyone jumps on board the bandwagon, and they go, cool, like buy Lachlan's thing, and it's the flavor of the month. I'd much rather it be, and this is what I try to do, is like I want it to be like, okay, you want to learn leg locks, and in 5 years' time you go, okay, well, Lachlan's DVD covers everything. That's what I want, and it's structured really well, and so like if it takes me a bit longer, but I get to put the product that I want out, then that's what I do.
Oh, damn you and your stupid integrity. Just sell out hard. Like, that's the whole reason you want to do well at ADCC. I want you being Hollywood Lachlan Giles. It's like, I don't even teach my classes anymore because I'm above it all. Like, that to me would be...
Sorry. It is pretty funny. I think after each win, Flow Grappling interviewed me, and I was like, well, this will probably be the last... like I beat Kane, and I'm like, oh, they probably won't interview me again. I'm like, hey, I've got a leg lock instructional coming out. and then they got the audio one, and I was like, oh, maybe this is the one they'll show. Hey, don't forget, I've got a leg lock instructional coming out. And then I fought Gordon, and then on each of the interviews, I'm like, don't forget this. Because I'm like, especially after I came bronze, I'm like, well, I've said it a few times, but they'll probably put it after I won my bronze medal, so I better mention the leg lock again. That's
never stop saying it, because... I always like to make sure, and this is a little pro tip from an interviewer, I can't cut around you if you mention it in the middle of your answer.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of me, like, when I'm at the editing deck and I'm sitting there and I'm cutting around things, I always love when somebody, like, sneaks in a plug, or if I'm on another show, I 100% go, that's a very interesting question, and I cover it on my DVD, actually. But for me, it's always like, whenever somebody asks a question, I'm like, that's so funny you mentioned that. On Grappling Hour, I interview so many different athletes, over 100 athletes. Probably the only show that does that. Anyway, what was the question? Oh, what do I like to eat? Just a regular guy. I just love good meats, good cheeses, and being like, that had nothing to do with the answer. And I'm like, yeah, but try cutting around that now. Ha, take that. Well, Lachlan, as we start to round... toward home base, which do you even understand that reference? Are you do you understand the baseball?
I know that home base is like the last year when you go 1, 2, 3 and then home. Yep.
There we go. Okay.
I know that.
I'm not sure, because sometimes I feel like I'm going to say something and I want to make sure you're on the same page here. But what is coming up next for you, sir? Because I guess you have maybe a Gordon thing, but let's talk about real things that probably will happen.
Yeah, I mean, if I can get that, I'll take it. I'd actually planned on just taking a little break from competition and focusing on, because I'll be trying to get a few seminar tours going, so my own training will suffer a little bit, but also just focusing on the team and coaching. We usually have grading at the end of the year, so I've got to get everyone ready for that. I'm sort of taking a short break from competition, and then, like I'd probably, I'd like to do ADCC 2021, have a good shot towards the goal, that would be the plan. So I'm sort of still preparing for that, and if I can do a few super fights or whatever beforehand, I will, or whatever comes up, really. That once I'm kind of not agreeing to anything just yet, because I don't want it to be like, oh, in 3 months' time I'm fighting this guy and I have to be ready. I'm actually just enjoying kind of, unless it's for $500,000. then I'll take it. But otherwise, I'm kind of trying not to agree to anything just yet. And because then as soon as you know you've got an opponent, even if it's 6 months away, you're like, okay, like you're thinking about it and your training's focused on that. I'm actually just trying to enjoy training and see what trends pop up and different things, openings I see and areas I want to sort of work on. So yeah.
Good for you.
It's hard to develop new things when you've got a specific like competition coming up because you're trying to hone in on your best skills.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's, it's part of the magic is like people just see the competition style of you, and obviously the biggest showcase is ADCC. But when you go back into the lab, it's not like you can sit there and do the exact same thing over again when people can tape study themselves and are probably watching their own mistakes. I'm pretty sure any of the people that you beat over at ADCC in the absolute are the next day going, how do we stop that? Did anybody want to buy Lachlan's DVD for us real quick?
Let's be honest, I'm not having a rematch with any of those guys.
I don't think you'll take it, but I'm pretty sure if you ever put yourself in another one of those team grappling events, they're all going to be like, I'll go. I'll be like, no, I'll go. And they're going to be like, hey, guys, I did that once, and I'm good.
Yeah.
I know I've got a target on my back now. Remember, little guy, no. So to me, I just wonder if you mentioned that you're looking to do seminars, which obviously also means that you could get out and do some traveling. Where are places that you would like to do seminars? Because I'm pretty sure people who are listening to this are wondering, like, okay, it's like trying to get the Olympics to come to your town. You're just kind of like, make it so that they have to present something to you. And they're like, Lachlan, as gift for coming to Santa Clarita, we give you the gift of, what do you like, whiskey? No? Okay. do you like good furniture? We'll give you that. Like, what does it take to get you on out? And where are you looking to go?
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to go to obviously, the States, around Europe, probably Asia as well. So my plan is to kind of do actually not that many seminars, but try and get as many people to them as I can. But I want to spend like 3 weeks in Melbourne and then do like 1 week away. So it'd be a pretty, if I go to the States, it'd be like, maybe like 5 seminars and then come back home, and that might be in different states or whatever. But I mean, people, to be honest, I got a lot of messages for seminars, which is awesome, but I wasn't like, this is like immediately after ADCC and I had all that stuff going on and I wasn't like writing down the name of everyone, so I've kind of forgotten who asked me. So I'm going to have probably some angry people when I end up booking one and they'll be like, what about what you so I'll probably honor whoever asked first, but there'll be a few little conditions.
Oh, that's a stupid idea. No.
It'd have to be. I'll have to be open to everyone. And
don't honor things. That again, I've taught you.
All right, cool.
I've taught you nothing. Literally, make them do the bidding for you. Like, open it up, have a committee, have like 3 people on the committee that just goes, "We're ready to accept your bid. What are you prepared to present to us?" And see what happens, because that shine doesn't work forever, my friend. And so you want to keep that shine on for as much as possible, because the other part is, it's not just you competing, it's your accessibility on the instructionals that you put out makes everybody feel like they know you personally. And so it's similar to like when I worked for Leno or Conan, they become these brand people that everybody sees in their house. So when they go up to a celebrity like a George Clooney, they don't know what to say. They're just like, oh my God, it's George Clooney. Ah! But when they go up to Conan or Jay, these talk show hosts, they just go, hey, what's up, Jay? I was fixing my car, man, and it's crazy. I think the same thing happens to a lot of guys like you, where they're like, hey, Lachlan, what's up? I'm having issues with my heel hook finish. And you're like, hi, we just met. Cool.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, Lachlan, I got to tell you, man, and I mean this sincerely, it just was so cool to see you get something that I know how hard you work for. I know so many of these guys. I interview so many people, but you're so accessible to all of us, especially if you have questions on a lot of things in terms of how to proficiently get better. And it is a true testament to how much of a brand that you built, that those people were chanting your name. Not just because they knew you that day. It's because I think they wanted to be able to give you that elation like they had it inside. They were just like, oh yes. So obviously you gave him some good matches and some great moments over at ADCC, but you were our true ADCC MVP, I thought, of this year.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, sir. Well, we look forward to seeing you very, very soon. And to all of you guys who are tuning in right now, I want to say thank you so much. If you aren't following at Grappling Hour, what's wrong with you? Do us a solid. Go follow us right now. It's at Grappling Hour on all the major platforms. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, Twitch, all of them. Go follow us on all of them. That's including Instagram as well. And I just want to tell you guys, we will be taking this week off. And then we'll be back next week, potentially with some other ADCC medalists. I don't know. We'll see. Plus, we got a lot more to cover within the grounds of the jiu-jitsu. But that's going to do it for us here tonight. I want to say thank you guys for tuning in. My thanks to Michael. My thanks to Lachlan Giles, the People's Champ. And my thanks to all of you for tuning in. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you guys on the mats.